as the track slogan states at this time period in NASCAR, fast racing, real racing, and that's what we're going to have here today at Atlanta Motor Speedway on NASCAR 08, the Cobalt Tools 500 for the running of our next NASCAR Nextel Cup Series race on the channel. For this game, it's been a couple weeks since we have touched the Cup Series. We did stream last night, of course, of NASCAR 08, ended up getting a Busch Series win on a short track at the Red Ball Raceway with Martin Truex Jr. 4 consecutive wins there. We've ran 3 races already this season on the Cup Series side of things, of course, racing as Casey Kane, and we have finished in the top 10 in the first 3 races. A win in the Daytona 500, leading 58 of 200 laps that day. Casey Mears ended up winning the second race of the season at California, but we finished in 6th. Despite getting involved in numerous incidences, we still barely survived and had a nice comeback at the end to at least get a top 10. And we come in, off a win at Las Vegas, 149 laps. And then all the rest of the races we've had other than that have been 100%, including tonight. 500 miles, 325 laps is our scheduled distance, and we will be starting at the back of the pack, which is probably going to be pretty usual on this game because qualifying is broken. So, needless to say, from the rear, we'll see what we can do. We'll see how fast this number 9 Dodge is. Green flag is in the air. Jeff Gordon is on the pole, and we're racing at Atlanta on a little Fast Friday on the channel before we get into the Clash Live commentary streams this weekend. And there's Casey Mears, the only other winner outside of Casey Kane this season. Starting just a couple rows in front of us down on the bottom. Made one pass on the first turn. I have a very tight setup in the car, so I'm going to have to back this thing up quite a bit in the corners just to try to get it down to the bottom of the track. I might have to free it up as the race goes on, and it might tighten up more and more as the run carries on. Obviously, being in traffic for the first time, I did not practice or qualify. So kind of winging it right out of the gate. Jackson Robinson, you're the first in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. As for many others who will be tuning in here throughout the course of the stream yet again tonight as well. One car slipping to the inside. It's Kenny Schrader in the 21, the little Debbie machine. Trying to get back by Casey Kane after Casey got by him the last corner. Kane able to get back down to the bottom in time in turns 1 and 2. Kind of more of a comfortable line for me to run like a half a lane off of the bottom of the racetrack. Jeff Gordon's led the first 3 laps of the race, though, from the front. Fast speeds here at the old Atlanta Motor Speedway. We see that now just in a pack. It's a much different kind of Atlanta Motor Speedway. Both putting on good racing in their own retrospect. Yeah, car definitely feels a little stiff. Trying to back up the corner entry to keep it hooked to the bottom of the track, especially when trying to make a pass to keep from making contact with the car on the outside, and it's pretty difficult for me, honestly. Truex with a block off the exit of the corner after Casey Mears got around him. Maybe looking for a crossover on that 25, not going to be able to do it. Kane backs up the corner entry, big run through the middle. And a little wall scrape. First one of the evening. Got Ryan Newman in the 12, the Rocket Man, taking the lead away from Gordon on lap 6. He'll get 5 bonus points leading his first lap of the night. Keep getting a run on Truex in the center of the corner, but because he's able to keep his car pinned down to that white line on the bottom of the track, I can't get underneath him. And I've wasted so much time trying to make the pass on him. This is the second time Schrader's going to get underneath us. But just like the last time, not going to be able to stay underneath for multiple corners to be able to make the pass. See one of our teammates up here, Elliott Sadler in the 19, just a few cars up ahead. A lot of three-wide racing and a bit of a stack-up on those outer two lanes. Truex going to bypass traffic on the inside, and Casey Kane in the number 9 will follow to get by Casey Mears. Truex 3 wide underneath of Harvick and Jeff Burton. And Pablo Montoya in the 42 also there. One side drafted Jeff Burton in the 31. Big run on the outside for Schrader this time. That's not going to work either. Kane's going to get by Jeff Burton on the bottom of the track. Montoya and Harvick crossing over Truex. Casey Kane going to finally try to get by the one car here in turns 3 and 4. Drove it in a little deeper that time, and there was contact as a result. Yeah, that was too deep. I tried to be a little more aggressive there, and that did not work whatsoever. Kind of got hit from behind by Jeff Burton after I hit the wall, too. That was a pretty good hit. Cost us a couple positions. Car's not too damaged, so that's good. It's a decent hit, but it wasn't terrible. Could have been worse. I felt like I was glued to his car forever and just could not get off of him. If I had lifted a little earlier, might have been able to at least avoid hitting the wall while I was still glued to his race car. Definitely difficult to pass here today. Looking 3 wide to the bottom. Schrader not given a lot of room here. And again, it's Casey Kane in the 9. Following the 21. He does get by the 29 of Harvick, though. You got to keep the streak alive of only the drivers by the name of Casey winning. Casey Kane, 2 wins. Casey Mears with 1. Would have technically have been the first career win for Casey Mears as well. He would have won actually in real life in 2007 for his first career win in the Coke 600, but we haven't gotten that far in the season yet, so technically, yes, that was the first career win for Casey Mears. Didn't have to wait long for Hendrick Motorsports to get to victory lane, just the second race of the season. Just the least expected of the drivers to get the win. They were stout in 2007, though, so might not be as much of a surprise, I guess, with this being a video game. After all, it isn't real. Believe it or not. Lost a couple spots there. Harvick got back around us. Now Paul Menard gets back around us. And we're just kind of stuck deep in the field right now. I think we can be quick if we can get track position. It definitely doesn't seem like we're as quick as we were at Vegas in the last mile and a half. Definitely a lot more carnage in that race as well. Broke the NASCAR record for the most cautions. That was the last time we ran the Cup Series on this game. Caution free through the first 14 completed laps at the line. Dog that likes Kyle Busch, thanks for tuning in. Getting to that point where I'm really abusing the rear tires when I try to back the corner up. Definitely think I'm going to have to make a slight adjustment. We get to this first stop. Oh, we got trouble off turn 4. I couldn't tell who that was up against the wall. There was contact with the 6 of David Reagan, it looked like, and that's going to allow for Casey Kane to get a few positions. Now up to 33rd. 6 spots gained on the front stretch there. Well, that'll help too. Tony Stewart, by the way, in the lead for the first time today, has led for the last several laps. He's the 3rd different driver to lead already, alongside Jeff Gordon and Ryan Newman. I mean, I know of iRacing. Have I tried it before? No. Well, I have tried it before, but I don't own an actual account. The only time I've ever done it was at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And I've done some other racing simulators over the years too, but that was the only time I've done iRacing specifically, I believe. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the car is just way too tight. I tried to drive it in a little deeper to clear Dale Jarrett, and I just couldn't clear him. Another big hit. We got Dave Blaney leading this race now. I had to check my eyes for a second there. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Dave Blaney just took the lead from Tony Stewart. And no, we're not at a super speedway. That's the third time I've hit the wall in the first 19 laps already. It's the second time after contact with another car. This car is just way too tight. Somehow, interval-wise, we're only 3.2 seconds off. Look at it just shove up the track. We're only 20 laps into the run. It's already shoving worse and worse and worse every lap we get under these tires. Jeff Burton going to make a pass now for 33rd. Casey King glued to the white line on the other end of the track through 3 and 4. Little bump drafting going on there. Try to get him going. Wade, thanks for tuning in. Not getting notifications. I wonder if it has something to do with taking the time off of streaming. Maybe YouTube wasn't... I mean, YouTube should... If you have the notification bell on, you should still get notifications. So it's definitely a YouTube glitch. I mean, there's not really anything I could do there. I will say also, the Rolex 24 stream, and I thought it was just going to be while it was processing after it was done. But you cannot view that on the channel for some reason. I can't even view it. I actually tried to see if I can view it myself earlier today, now that, 5 days have gone by since the stream has been done. And yeah, I can't even access the stream. Because I wanted to do highlight videos after the race. Kind of set that up for Monday, Tuesday to put out, and I haven't been able to access any of my footage from the race. YouTube's blocking viewership for some reason. But it still says it's monetized, so I don't understand why that is. So I'm definitely going to be sure to contact them later about that. I really thought it was just going to be because it was a longer stream and I had to get done processing, but even then, before when we've done like longer cup streams, not obviously 24 hours, but it's still available. Like you can still go rewatch it immediately after the stream's done. And it's also odd that I can't even access it. And I know that there was a couple comments on that in the comment section following the stream as well. And I thought it was just going to be a temporary thing, but I don't think it's very temporary. Sucks too, because it takes away from, obviously, people being able to access it after the stream's over. 24 hours, I'm sure there's probably some people that wanted to go back through separate parts of the race, probably see how I was holding up or something. But, yeah, definitely got to contact YouTube, figure out why that's the case. Watched the game last night? No, I didn't watch any of the game. I went to bed early. I was in bed before the game started. I saw they won, though, in a shootout, so that's good. Keep the streak up to 4. Elliott Sadler making the clean pass on his teammate Casey Kane just a couple laps after Casey had made the pass on him. Crossover by Kane. It definitely seems like I'm faster in turns 1 and 2. 3 and 4, I'm giving up a little bit of time. But we did get Sadler back in that very next corner. Riding in line behind the Blue Deuce at Kurt Busch. Oh, tagged by the left rear. Big save by Casey Kane off turn 4. Down in the grass to try to save the race car. After contact from his teammate. Did we not lose a position doing that? Oh my gosh. They must have checked up so much behind us. I should have lost way more momentum than that. How did I not lose a spot? Just keep your foot in it. Did exactly that. I didn't lift. Look at the skid marks. Oh, we got more trouble. Was that Dale Jr.? It was a red car. Couple of them up against the wall off turn 4. Still no caution. And Casey Kane's up to 24. That was way worse than what I had to deal with the lap before. Dale Earnhardt passing the crash stuff. Yeah. Surprised the caution didn't come out. I was so far sideways. I was surprised we didn't have a caution off turn 4 that next lap for whoever it was that hit the wall. It was a red car of some sort. I think it was Dale Jr. I couldn't tell who he made contact with, because there were a few cars that were up there in that vicinity. Johnson definitely checked up. He was the last of those that I passed. Only 3.6 to 3.7 seconds off the lead, and we are halfway through the field. A lot of it has been kind of surviving the calamity we've seen at various points in their first 29 laps. Looking on the leaderboard to see if, who that red car might have been. It might have been Dale Jr., because Jr.'s back at 35th now, and I don't remember passing him before that. So I do not believe my eyes were deceiving me there. 09 car has been out in front for a while now, too. That's Mike Wallace in this game. The anonymous, Xeladu, thanks for tuning in. I believe that's how you probably want me to pronounce that. Xeladu, probably because, I would assume you're a Dale Jr. fan, Mountain Dew. Xeladu. I'm assuming. Johnson put pressure on us. I'm definitely not quick enough to stay in front of him. A little sideways up on that outside lane. If you're not pinned in the actual racing line on these 1.5 mile tracks, it's very easy to get out of shape. You kind of run this middle groove and lane off the bottom and I'm fine, but I get up towards the outside and it definitely feels like you're in the marbles. I'd like to think I've got enough speed to stay in front of Paul Menard, but Jimmy Johnson definitely not. Well, I'm not gonna be able to watch the game tomorrow either. You know it. See, there we go. I know other NASCAR fans when I see them. And I don't even have to visually see you. I do try to shout people out whenever I see anybody wearing a NASCAR shirt, whether I'm just grocery shopping or something, because it's kind of few and far between where I live. There's no NASCAR tracks in the state of Ohio, but dirt racing is pretty big around here. I will say. If you're into racing, there are definitely a lot of dirt racing fans. Still pissed about 2015 Talladega. We've got straightaway speed. I just got to get this thing to handle better in the corners. It is so stiff. It's just super tight. Used to have Mid-Ohio. Well, and Eldora, if you're counting the lower series. They keep taking them away from us. Bastards. I'm joking, obviously. I would imagine NASCAR's a fan of the channel. I do only live about 50 minutes from Michigan International Speedway because I live towards Toledo, Ohio, so I don't live that far from a NASCAR track, but in my state, we don't have any. Used to have Mansfield for a couple of years back in the Truck Series 2. A while back, that's a little over an hour for me. Barely over an hour. Now they hold Incarceration, which is a huge music festival. Rock metal music festival every year. Which is the kind of stuff I listen to. I haven't been to it yet, though. It's at this prison that's vacant. Obviously, it's not operating anymore, but supposedly it's haunted. So that's kind of the big thing with Mansfield now. It's not a big... I mean, it's a pretty big town, obviously, when you're hosting something like that, but... I think the city itself only has 30,000 or 40,000 citizens. It's not very big, relatively speaking. It's not a major metropolitan area, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, they host that. Speaking of which, I think they just announced the lineup for that for later this summer. I'm not a big festival person. Granted, I've never been to one, so it might, turn my head around a little bit if I did go to one. But I like to try to pick out concerts because even when I'm going to concerts, I have to listen to multiple of the bands that are playing. I'm not gonna go if there's just one band that I care to listen to. I think the next concert I'm gonna be going to is gonna be up in Detroit in April. That's supposed to be all three bands I'm highly looking forward to seeing too. We got Bleed From Within opening the show. I really just started getting into listening to them probably within the last 2 years. They got a new album coming out, so I'm stoked for that. Trivium, which I have seen before, and then Bullet for My Valentine, which I have not been able to see before because they don't tour in the U.S. very often anymore. So definitely want to try to catch them when I can. So yeah, I'm definitely stoked for that one. That's gonna be cool. It's gonna give me that nostalgic kick from mid 2000s. I wasn't really listening to Trivium around that time yet, but I knew some Bullet songs, but I didn't really start getting into them more until I was in high school. What actually helped with me too with that, I forget which WWE 2K game it was. I want to say it was 17, but the superstars would pick the music like on the actual whatever you want to call it, the gameplay music, the jukebox on the actual game itself. And the Miz apparently picked a Bullet for My Valentine song, which was Skin, which had just released like that year on that album that they ended up having. I don't want to go too into detail because a lot of people probably don't know what I'm talking about, but the Venom album. And needless to say, that exposed me to a new Bullet song at that time, and I really only known like their bigger songs. I was like, okay, this is pretty good, and then I checked that album out, and I really liked it, and the rest was kind of history from there. That was when I was like really starting to get into metal, because I'd always grown up on rock music, because my parents always listened to a bunch of classic rock, so that's always been in my my household, I guess. But yeah, I didn't really start listening to heavier stuff until I was probably 17, 18 years old. I slowly graduated into what I listen to now. Trivium and Bullet, both badass bands, extremely amazing in person. Yeah, Trivium, I actually saw them with Megadeth a few years ago in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Lamb of God was supposed to be there too, but unfortunately Randy Blythe, the vocalist for Lamb of God, had COVID, so they did not play. So it was an extra long set from both Trivium and Megadeth, which was cool. Trying to make up for the fact that they were missing a band, but yeah, it kind of sucks though when you buy tickets, well in advance, expecting to see that band, and the concert still goes on, you're still there, and that band's not playing there. I was probably more there for Trivium anyway, but I still like Lamb of God, and hopefully I'll get the opportunity to see them again at some point too. My favorite Bullet song, man, I don't even know. Their last album, their self-titled album, I really like. I haven't gone back and listened to that every so often. It's been out for almost 4 years now, about a little over 3 years. It was 2021, but it was later in the year. But honestly, that's personally some of their best stuff they've done in a while. Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, the Venom album was really good too, but yeah, no, honestly, that was a really good album, like all the way through. Even some of the demo releases they ended up dropping like a year later were pretty good too. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to see them, and they were like one of my gateway bands that got me into listening to metal, so I've really wanted to see them for a long time, but ever since COVID, they haven't toured in the U.S. So 2020 through 2024, they literally have not been in the U.S. except for like festivals here and there, and I just mentioned I haven't been to a festival yet, but It's tough too because it's always during NASCAR season in the warmer months, so I'm going to be streaming, so it's kind of not possible. You know, a lot of the concerts I go to during the season are midweek concerts, so that way I can, you know, try to make it happen so I don't miss streaming. And then obviously with the, not only not to miss streaming, but trying to manage that with work. I'll go to a concert day of work if it's like in Toledo or Detroit or something. I can make it there, still working a full day. Drive back home, sleep for about 4 hours, go back to work the next day. So I really try to do what I can to fit it in. But definitely haven't gone to as many as I'd like. Ever since COVID hit, I've really only gone to like 2 or 3 a year. Before that, I was going to more than that. Like I usually only get up to like 1 or 2 Red Wings games a year now, like 1 or 2 Tigers games. So it's kind of slim pickings anymore. But I also didn't have the YouTube channel, you know, before COVID and all that. So I was just kind of on my own doing whatever. Kind of bypass time. So this bypasses more of my time now. Things have changed over the years. Still riding around in 25th. Honestly, we probably have a mid-pack car. We have closed the gap a little bit on the leader, but I think a lot of that's because Mike Wallace has actually been holding up the field, I believe, at the front. We're about 3.8 seconds back, and now it's about 3.5. But we haven't gained any positions. And I would imagine the field's going to separate quite a bit. We get into these first sets of pit stops, which aren't that far out. We've gone 51 laps, all caution-free. I would imagine around lap 60, we'll start seeing cars come down. Must have been hell to be a Wings fan. Yeah, me and Wade both in the chat have suffered. At least it's been entertaining to watch them more the last couple of years because they've been better than what they were. Although they missed the playoffs. They brought it right down to the wire last year. And they're probably going to do the same thing again this year, too. Just the way the season's gone. They're going to be basically in wild card contention the rest of the regular season. Unless they get like a double-digit winning streak in there at some point. They kind of put a little bit of a cushion between themselves and the 8 seed. I just don't... I mean, it could happen, but even if it does, you can't, you know, drop 5-6 games in a row right after that or something and give it right back up. So they're probably going to be in that fight all season long. So it's going to be stressful for some, entertaining for others. It's going to be a little bit of both for myself. I'm a Panthers fan myself. Yeah, so you know pain of losing franchises. See, most of my teams are based out of Detroit, so it's been hell watching like pretty much everybody for the last decade. The Tigers sucked for a while until this year, thank goodness. And really, they were mediocre at best this year until mid-August. And it's like, who are the... Like, it didn't even feel like the same team. Offensively, I guess it kind of did, because they weren't really doing anything there, but... Yeah, Hinch did a great job. So I'm definitely looking forward for baseball season more this year with that being the case. And Pistons are slowly turning it around finally, too. So everything's kind of clicking at once. I'm not a Lions fan. I always grew up a Packers fan, but all the rest of my teams are based out of Detroit. It's still cool to see the Lions perform as well as they are. Like I mentioned, because I am a Detroit or Michigan sports fan for everything else, but yeah, it was it's cool. City's getting back to where it once was. They've done a lot of things in downtown too to try to kind of upkeep the city. Whenever I'm down there for a game, I feel like it just gets nicer and nicer every time I go. So that's great to see. Marlins fan and a Panthers fan. That's tough. Brandon Wilson, by the way, thanks for tuning in also. We're going to stay out one more lap. We're running pretty tight on fuel. I'm aware of that. I see it flashing on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. We're at lap 57, so we're pitting a little bit before lap 60. We went about 60 laps on fuel at Vegas from what I remembered, so I'm surprised we can't go that far here. On a 1.5-mile track as well. Casey coming to pit road. Going to try to get as much time gained as I can here before coming into the pits. Look out, everybody. That was perfect. I was at 80, kind of coasting. Dropped it down to 69 right at the last second. We're going to take a half round of wedge out of the car. That's going to be the only adjustment on this first stop. 4 tires and a full tank of gas. I gained a ton of time coming into the pits. Couple positions as well. That was clean. Yeah, Canley's a pretty good pitcher. Michael Turner also thanks for tuning in. I think I'll use all 5 sets. There's a very good probability of that. We're definitely going to have to stretch every run now. This is going to be a 4-tire stop here. So pitting under caution is really going to try to do it the least amount of times possible if we're going to want to make this last the whole race for tires. So we got 4 sets left the rest of the way. I do limit myself, try to challenge myself a little more on this game. And yeah, I gained a lot of time in the pits. I will also state that not only I gained time coming into the pits, but it was a clean stop by the boys on pit road as well. So a combination of the two there, very helpful. Little contact with, is that AJ? Yeah, it was AJ. 84. Sorry, AJ. 16th? We gained 9 positions in green flag pit stops. I mean, that's rare. Usually I lose spots. But that was an awesome pit road entry. And I was definitely cutting it close to speeding. It was close to a disaster, but that's that fine line, and we found it. Going to be tough to cut it that close again without speeding the rest of the way, but now we just got to manage, though. That's the thing. We did make an adjustment with the car, try to help free it up a little more. It's kind of hard to tell right now if it's better. I mean, it feels good, but it also felt all right the first couple laps of the race before we started to put a little wear on the tires also. Still moved up a little bit in the center of the corner once I got tucked in line behind Matt Kenseth. Just right in the middle of the corner. I mean, it's like dead middle of the corner. It really shoves. And Allmendinger looking for the pass on Kane here. Casey just ran his fastest lap of the race and he's still getting passed. That just tells you that this field is quick. And my fastest lap is a 28.527 that last lap. And I'm still mid-pack. The leaders are running ridiculously quick lap times. And the fact that Mike Wallace has been the leader for the majority of the race, he's cycled in and off of pit road in the lead, too. Interval-wise, we're still 3.5 seconds back, so that didn't really change at all. But we still gained positions. Lost a spot to AJ, so we were 16th, now 17th. 28.5 second lap, and I mean, there's really not a whole lot else I can do. The rest of the field's just quick. Saw Marlin up in the top 10 running a 28.7 the last lap. Oh, stop shoving, please. My goodness. Second time I passed AJ, and both times were not clean. He's going to get really ticked off at me one of these times. Another teammate of ours here at Evernham. Scott Riggs in the 10, not that much further up ahead. So we try to close. Took a half round of wedge out of it, and it's still pushing. No, I haven't really kept up with baseball free agency. I didn't even know about the Canley thing until you just mentioned it in the chat. I don't really keep up with sports much in the off-season. Obviously, when I was younger, I was probably more into that side of things, but now I just I don't know, for whatever reason, I just don't pay close enough attention. Got a lot going on. I try to keep myself busy as much as I can. Obviously doing this, 2 to 3 hours almost every day, so whether it be the real races for NASCAR, I try to make sure I keep up with everything NASCAR news for topic of conversation in the chat during these live streams and stuff like that, but I'll watch my teams when I can, and when I can't, I just kind of score track it as much as I can and follow through the season that way. Yeah, out of season, honestly, I really don't care about baseball right now, to be completely honest. My Packers are out of the playoffs, too, so I don't really care about football the last couple weeks either. I barely watched any football last weekend. Granted, I was sleepy because we did the Rolex 24 stream, so I was super tired. I saw the last couple minutes of the first half of the Chiefs and Bills game, and then I saw nothing of the Eagles and Washington game. I haven't even watched the highlights of that game yet. The only thing I saw was the highlight-wise of that NFC title game this last weekend was Washington jumping off sides like 3 plays in a row on the goal line trying to stop Philadelphia. But that was pretty funny. That's literally the only thing I've seen, though. That entire game. Keeps you up to date. I mean, yeah, but you value that over NASCAR, though, too. So that's just where we're different. Starting to pick up spots on this run. Up towards the front of the field. I mean, it's a slow work in progress, but we're getting there. Jeff Gordon, who started on the pole, has fallen out of the top 10. Getting passed by several drivers. Casey Kane trying to be one of them. And our teammate Scott Riggs in the 10 car. Up on the high side as well. I believe that's Ricky Rudd in the 88 Snickers Ford. Towards the outside of the racetrack also. 13th place for Casey Kane, race high. You definitely see the back of the car wiggling around a little bit more. Really a lot more than what we saw the entirety of that first tire stint. Up to 12th. I don't know who that was I just passed. That Joe Nemechek, 13 car. You can count it whenever you want. I mean, technically the season, although it's an exhibition race, racing does start this weekend. Got Dale Jarrett and his former ride to the inside of him. Starlin Marlin in front of both cars. Got a lot of old veterans right in front of us. Jarrett able to just squeeze down to the bottom right in front of Casey Kane. Kane to the inside of Marlin. Just kind of a train of those three. The 2 Fords and a Dodge getting by the, I believe, Chevrolet of Marlin. Newman, Blaney, who have led laps in the race, getting passed by Rudd, Jarrett. Kane trying to do the same. Almost gave up enough of the bottom. It's a great corner exit by Marlin. Casey still kept his speed up, though, down the straightaway. Makes the move in 3 and 4 for 10th on Newman. And all clear. One Dodge passing another, and for the first time today, Casey Kane has broken into the top 10 and just ran his fastest lap. 28.290. That's unheard of. That's like super speedway Atlanta speeds. If not quicker. Probably quicker, honestly. What is this? It's kind of been like a pack race at Atlanta the entire time. It seems like the top half of the field's been so bunched together for most of this race. Look at them. They're 2 by 2 almost all the way through the top 10. Big run. Stack up off of turn 2. 3 wide to the bottom for Casey Kane underneath Michael Waltrip and Dave Blaney, but he's not going to be able to pass either one. Well, it might get by Blaney. Blaney was way up there on the outside. Waltrip got shot out of a cannon. He's about to pass Bobby Labonte in the same corner that we were underneath him on entry. And now he's underneath the 20th Stewart. Where did that speed come from for Waltrip? You heard me say super speedway. He's like, oh, I guess I'm going to the front. Scrape into the wall off turn 2. Still moments where the car's shoving just a bit, and as it did there, that's going to cost us at least 1 spot, maybe 2, or maybe more than that if we can't get to the bottom behind Dave Blaney. Now we're getting freight trained up here. I was in 8th. Back to 12th. Blaney and Marlin are side by side. I had a chance to get to the bottom, but then Marlin checked up quite a bit. I should have just been more patient. Maybe had to get out of the gas and hop in line behind him. Now Scott Riggs is passing us. You got to close this off at some point. There we go. At some point, I was going to have to start being more aggressive and trying to block, and I did that on Kenseth. Just able to get back underneath Riggs. Might cross him over. Got 1 spot back pretty quickly into 12th again. Yeah, the draft is huge in this game. I've definitely noticed that too. Both the bump draft and the actual draft itself. Because the bump drafting, it worked well in the super speedways in the prior EA games, but on the other tracks, it didn't quite work out as well as it does in this game from what I've noticed. This game, I mean, you can lock bumpers on like any of these intermediate tracks and actually get quite a bit of ground if you can obviously get to their bumper, which that's the hard part. The straightaways are obviously shorter than what you'd be working with at a Daytona or a Talladega. Two spots to get back into the top 10 in front of Kane with Blaney and Marlin. Tony Raines is leading the field now. I'll tell you what, with Casey Mears winning at California, I just have a feeling for the Cup Series season in particular, because we haven't really seen it much from the truck and the Busch side of things. We're going to see some obscure winners throughout the course of the year. Like, for some reason, every race, it doesn't matter what equipment they're in, they'll compete. It might be different if I were to drive as them, but the AI themselves, when they're racing the other AI cars, it doesn't matter what equipment they're in. I mean, they're going to be... Everybody's got a shot to win. And this is on speed. I can understand Vegas where we had 38 cautions, so it kind of cycled the field quite a bit. But here, we haven't had a single yellow in 84 laps. We've seen the likes of Mike Wallace, Dave Blaney, and now Tony Raines leading on 1.5 miles. And again, not the super speedway version of Atlanta either. The old Atlanta. The traditional racing Atlanta. Again, good straightaway speed for Sterling Marlin. Gets to the inside of Casey Kane. It's amazing. We get passed by one car. It just almost freight trains us every time. Good draft behind Marlin, though. Is able to get back to the bottom. Right in front of Scott Riggs. A little bump to the back of that 14. That was dangerous in the middle of the corner. But effective. And Casey back into 11th again. Wow. So snappy. It really is out of pure randomness on whether or not it's just going to go up the hill. It grips until it doesn't. Big block by Blaney. I think Rudd lifted. I think he cut him quite a bit of slack there. Casey Kane to the inside of Ricky Rudd. Clear. Blaney way up there. Should be able to get him too. Back into ninth. Scott Riggs going to get back into the top 10 behind us also. I slip up just a little bit. It's not even that I'm getting off the corner bad. Like, I'm not losing speed, but I'm not holding a tighter line. And they're able to, and that's why they're able to get their nose to the inside of our left rear. It's so hard to keep the speed and keep the car pinned to the bottom. It was easier for me on the short tracks, but not on the intermediates. Especially now with the tighter race car we've had throughout the course of this one. It's not as bad as it was the first run, so we did take a step in the right direction, but we might have to adjust the wedge a little bit more again when we make this next stop. Probably a little less than 30 laps away. Definitely less than 30 away because we're already halfway out of gas and have been for at least a handful of laps now. Scott Riggs in the 10 again, making a pass on Casey Kane. So now we've gotten up as high as 8th. Make another adjustment, maybe we could get that much quicker because I couldn't pass any cars inside the top 20 the first run. I know Boyers led for a little bit too. That was another big moment where the car pushed tight right in the center of 1 and 2. Dave Blaney gets right back by the 9. Look at it just sailing up the track. Green dots are allies. Red dots are rivals. You definitely know that on the driver icon. I think the green dots on the I don't know. Kind of all over the place. Like some races are organized and some races they're not. I feel like there is a meaning for it, but then it just glitches out. So I try not to pay too much attention to it anymore. Oh yeah, that time it was because I hit the white line. Keep it down. Yeah, I was staying in the gas to keep it from wanting to drift up the track. But we definitely got our first caution. I got way too much of the apron. It just shoved me right into the 88. I was already dealing with a tight race car, and then that didn't help matters. So overdrove it. Trying to get more out of the car than what I have, which is the borderline top 10 car. Instead of just accepting what I got. Worst part is the caution's out now, and that might lead to more pit stops here because we're past halfway through the run. Well, I tried to pit because I caused the incident, and I clicked it a little late, so I didn't actually pit there. I was trying to send myself back to the rear. Definitely wasn't going to be able to take tires. That big slide's going to hurt these tires quite a bit as well. Lap 97, restart, green flag back in the air, a little wheel spin. Getting up to speed there by the 9 as well, which I did experience that at California a couple times when we restarted older tires. Didn't lose any spots at least, didn't gain any either. Dale Jarrett restarting in the lead. And the top 13 just kind of bunching nose to tail again. NASCAR Racing 2007, Dale Earnhardt 38. Thanks for tuning in. Might be able to gain more spots during green flag pit stops like we did the last time. Further up through the field, I don't think I'm going to gain 9 spots like I did earlier, but might be able to get a couple of them. So in our 4th Cup race of the season, yet again, no caution-free race. Michael Waltrip, Dale Jarrett battling for the lead. Just like it's Talladega 2005. But it's not. It's Atlanta 2007. Tim Brown, thanks for tuning in. Here comes Blaney. Yeah, Blaney was actually already in front of us. He did lead. For a very brief moment. The amount of obscure drivers leading. Got rookie Clint Boyer leading. Tony Raines is led. Michael Waltrip at MWR. He's led. Dale Jarrett, the 44, has led. Past his prime, Dale Jarrett. Dave Blaney's led. Now we've seen some good drivers lead like Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman, Jeff Gordon. Battle of the Fox and NBC crew, yeah. Fox versus NBC right now. I want to see if there's a chance that we can lead during green flag pit stops at all. Oh, Blaney is back in front of us again. Never mind. Forgot I did fall back to 12th. We were in 8th. Ryan Newman shut the door late on us into the corner. I had to lift, though, just to try to make it. Keep the car pinned tight to the bottom because we already had a tight entrance. Stuart Newman trying to get back to the front of the field. It's draft off Bobby Labonte. Might be able to make the pass on Marlin now for 11th. I started getting a little tight. Gonna have to force myself clear. I definitely didn't want to do it like that. I've hit the wall a couple times off the exit of the corner doing just that. Still time for the car to want to shove. By the time I try to get out of the gas, it's just too late. Riggs pushes wide. He might have scraped the wall a bit off turn 2. It looked like he did. Slowed his momentum down enough. Here comes Casey. Trying to get back inside the top 10 again. Big move by Stewart to cut us off, although I wasn't really close enough to get underneath him anyway. Mike Wall's back in the lead again. Another one of those obscure drivers up at the front of the field. You wouldn't traditionally see on this kind of a racetrack leading. Especially at the Cup level. Tony a rival? I can't tell if that's red or green. I'm colorblind, by the way, so for any new viewers, I did not know that. You'll have to let me know in the chat. Is Stewart a rival or is he an ally? He's blocking us quite a bit like he's a rival. It looks different to me, but it might be the same. Yeah, I tried to hold a tighter line to get underneath Boyer, and the car just got a little too loose. Tried to stay glued on the white line for as long as I did. Now we're going to be under Stewart. Don't hit me. Oh, yeah, he's definitely a rival. Looked like he tried to hit me. Now we got to run away from him before he turns us. Waltrip was just leading several laps ago, and now he's about to get passed for 8th. Casey got him. All clear. Shutting the door immediately. Blaney under Newman. Oh, big block there. Contact was made. Is that going to create an opportunity for Kane to get underneath the 12? Nope. I tried. Held it to the bottom low enough off the exit of the corner. Might get a run on him here. It's not giving us a lot of room. One of the leaders onto pit road as well. Pass was for 7th, but then we had a car in front of us that just hit the pits. We made it 57 laps on the first run, and we did get a caution in the middle of this green flag action on this second tire stint. Car shoves up the hill in turns 1 and 2. I was on the brakes to try to keep it off the wall. Pinned down to the bottom to cut Ryan Newman off, and Michael Waltrip's going to get through and gain a position or two. I don't know if he was behind Newman before that happened or not. Dave Blaney pitting. I'd like to stay out and lead a lap, but I don't know if we're going to be able to. Haven't led yet. Like to get 5 bonus points if I can. If I can go one more lap, I would, but I don't know. We're at 58 right now with the caution. It'd be a gamble if these two ahead of us pit to maybe stay out. Maybe I can beat them into the pits. We're going to try to do it that way and see if we can lead a lap there. Got a slow overspeeding. Yep. Gosh darn it, man. I couldn't slow it down quick enough there. Like I did the last time when I was trying to get all I could. Costly speeding penalty for Casey Kane. That'll be an extra 5 seconds on the stop. It'll be 4 tires, no adjustments, and a full tank of Sunoco Racing fuel. IMSA YouTube channel stopped by during the live stream of the 24-hour-and-a-half stream. Yeah, that was cool. That definitely was the highlight of the stream there. I noticed I was watching David Land's breakdown video of the race, and IMSA was in their channel, on his channel too, in the comment section of the video. That's just insane to me, though, that they were in the live chat of the race as it was going on. My initial thoughts were, man, you guys are hosting a race right now. as I was speaking and talking about the race, and still had the time to. They were streaming some of the race internationally, and while they were doing that, they popped in my chat randomly. So yeah, that was completely unexpected. I would not have thought that would have been a possibility, honestly. So I'm glad that they discovered the channel. Fan of David Land, of course. Speeding penalty dropped us from the top 10 back to 24th. Right where we were at the very beginning of the race for the entirety of that first run, and now it's very unfortunate here for Casey Kane. Clean pit stop by the pit crew, but not going to do much. A lot of bump drafting. Back of this 83 of Brian Vickers. Get by Joe Nemechek for 24th. Dave Blaney's found himself back in the lead yet again. I believe the second different time now that he has led. Jeff Gordon just a couple spots ahead of us too. Yeah, it looks like Gordon. Yeah, he started on the pole. I can't believe how far back he's fallen in this race. We only have 3 more sets of tires we can put on the car the rest of the way, and I am starting to worry a bit. Because we're still fairly early in this thing. We're only about a third of the way home. Having not that many caution laps at a 500-lap race to try to help manage tires a little bit better as well under the yellow rather than racing under green almost the entire race definitely doesn't help us for the tire management like it did at Vegas. Vegas, it was really no problem. Plus, there was a 400-mile race at Vegas. I think even with taking the right sides only to try to save some, I think we still ended up with a set and a half left at the end of the race. Speeding penalty definitely put us back quite a bit. But with a lot of racing to go, we can obviously come back from that, still get a good finish. But it hurts our chances of trying to get a lap led in. I mean, we worked so hard just to get up to 7th before the pit stop started. But that's as high as we've been this whole race so far. 7th place through 122 laps, outside of obviously getting to 3rd right before the pit stops. And we got somebody blowing up. That'll be another position. Looked like Jamie McMurray in the 26, Irwin Tools paint scheme. McMurray dropping out of the race. And Ricky Rudd to the lead for the first time here tonight. Way to go, Ricky. The soon-to-be Hall of Famer. Getting inducted in this year's class. I mean, pretty much all the NASCAR Weekly podcast, guys. As far as NASCAR content that I watch on a more regular basis is the NASCAR Weekly podcast. My goal is hopefully I can get on that show at some point in time as one of the... I think it'd be pretty cool, too, just because I've met Danny a long time ago, and I don't even think he knew I had a YouTube channel. At that time, I don't even know if I had 1,000 subscribers yet. when I met him at Nashville. No, I definitely didn't have 1,000 subscribers yet because it was 2021. I was like real early in the channel. So I wasn't even going to... It would have felt kind of weird to mention that to somebody who's already had a successful run. I don't know. It just seems kind of cocky, and I'm not that guy. Oh, you know, I have a YouTube channel too. I'm not gonna be that guy. That's not me. Just humble just to meet him, shake his hand, talk some NASCAR for a couple minutes, and went on my merry way. This was in the grandstands right before the race started. It was like maybe 20 minutes before they started like the national anthem and stuff, and I just happened to look behind me and notice that all those guys were sitting like 2 or 3 rows above where I was sitting. I was like, what a coincidence. The 40,000 people there in a sold-out crowd that they were just sitting right there. I can still remember to this day when I was walking up the steps to get to them. I didn't see all of them there of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast guys because a couple of them were like getting food or in the bathroom line or whatever. Like Jarrett wasn't up there at that time, neither was Eric. But it was Danny, his wife, and Darian were all sitting up there at that time. I think Slap Shoes was up there with them at that time too. But anyway, yeah, I was going up the steps and they all thought I was Jarrett until I got like right up to them and they were like, "Oh, I thought you were Jarrett the whole time." I'm like, "Nope." So apparently when we both have our beards grown out, we look the same, apparently. All red-haired people look alike, I guess. Is what I got out of that. The crazy thing is growing up that my hair was not red. But then, you know, when I became of the age to grow facial hair, it's been red. Or reddish color. It doesn't look red to me. Again, I'm colorblind, so I didn't even know it was red until like a couple years later. Didn't even have blonde hair either. It was just, you know, brown hair, red beard for some reason. Ricky Rudd earned to be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Yeah, he definitely... And he was waiting for a long time on that ballot, too. He was on the ballot for several years. Finally going to get his chance. Oh boy. I notice the more I get on that white line, it really does shove the car to the right. Hall of Fame next Friday, yep. So I said soon to be Hall of Famer. He's been inducted, but he hasn't actually like gone through the whole process of it yet. Through the ceremony. So I guess technically he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, but he will be in a week. Wonder if me and Jeff Gordon could get through this field of cars. We've gained time on the leaders. We were 5.3 to 5.4 seconds back when we first cycled off pit road following the speeding penalty. Now we're only 2.5 seconds back. The big problem, again, we were 7th, and now we're 21st. So we cycled out 25th, so we have gained a couple of positions. Very tight. I don't know how I didn't make contact with Truex there. It started shoving. I stayed in the gas just hoping it wouldn't make contact, and sure enough, it didn't. Jeff Gordon. Oh, I thought Truex ended up in the wall. He was like right behind me, and then he wasn't in the rearview mirror anymore, but must have been in my blind spot. Leaders are running 28.4s on a consistent basis. I did run a 28.290 on the last run. It's harder to run that kind of a lap time in traffic like we're in right now. It opened up just enough for us to be able to run that. Still ran a 28.3 that last lap. Waltrip's dropped considerably through the leaderboard. I mean, he was leading during the last run. Jeff Gordon in the 24 working his way by. I just cannot drive it in as deep as some of these cars in front of me. My race car does not have the capability of being able to do that. I guess tires will be okay. I saw Michael's comment in the chat earlier. The last stop will be around lap 285. The rate that we're going at right now. It's one of those deals, if we end up getting a caution and cars come to pit road, what is it going to look like for us? For the tire side of things. We have 3 sets left. We're almost halfway through the race. Definitely having to stretch these out. Really don't want to have to make a right side only pit stop at any point. He's 16, getting old. Yeah, it's crazy. One of my lifelong friends, his younger brother just got married recently. Married and had a kid within the last 5-6 months. He's only a couple years younger than I am. Like, I think he's 21. I think he's 4 years younger than us. But it's crazy. It really is. He's so young. I could still remember when I would go over to his house and he was just 10, 12 years old. And always wanting to play in the PlayStation with us. We only had 2 controllers at our capability. You know, doing what little brothers would have probably done in that situation. Nah, good for him, though. He's always been a good kid. Gotta stop calling him kid now just because he's... he's got a family now. He's not a kid anymore. Oh, I checked up in time there. There was a little contact. 38 car David Gillen blocking off Jeff Gordon. Gordon gets underneath them, though, off turn 2, and they're 3 wide. And now they're only side by side as Riggs and the 10's all clear. He's now quickly. Jeff Gordon pulled away while we were side by side with the 38 of Gillen. We have made the pass. 7 positions gained since we left pit road in 25th after the pit road speeding penalty. I was close to not speeding, I should say close to speeding the first stop, but didn't. I tried to do that again, and I pushed it a little too hard. So I don't know that I'm going to try pushing that hard coming into the pits anymore. It was a gamble the first time. It paid off. The second time it didn't. It hurt us, and you know, again, we were in 7th. We're over halfway through the run. We're only up to 18th. Although interval-wise, we're within 2 seconds of the lead. And it is another pack race at the front of the field right now, but it's still been hard to pass all race. which is why we've only been as high as 7th the entire way. Bobby Labonte's led for the last several laps. I believe this is the first we've seen the 43 car Petty Enterprise out in front of the field. Denny Hamlin in the 11, sophomore driver for the 2007 season on the outside of Casey Kane. He's got a couple more Cup Series years of experience under him at this point. Clears Hamlin, a little slide job through 1 and 2 for 17th place. Hamlin almost crossed us over, quick block. Get right back underneath him. Jeff Gordon looked like he went up to try to side draft Ricky Rudd. He just body slammed him right off turn 4. And Kane runs down Ricky Rudd now, who was leading at one point during this current fuel run. And now he's in 16th, about to get back to 15th as he crosses Gordon over. Assuming he completes the pass, which looks like he's done so. Right front wearing out on the 9 car. Yeah, 1.3 seconds separating the top 17. We're in 17th. It's getting very jammed at the front of the field now. Passing Jeff Gordon, bottom lane of the racetrack. Getting under Jeff Green in the 66. Also bottom lane of the racetrack. Yeah, 600 is definitely going to be tough. Maybe it'll be like Vegas and we see a bunch of cautions and it'll make it easier for us to manage tires. Gonna have to hope so. We're gonna have to need it to be closer to the actual 2005 600. Oh, 3 wide off turn 2. Nope, not quite. Thought Casey Mears is going to be able to get underneath the Ryan Newman and Tony Stewart. I feel like Newman and Stewart have been around each other almost the entire race. Took the lead away from one another earlier, and every time I seem like I'm around either one of those two, the other one's right there with them. Lap 156 out of 325 in this 500-mile race at Atlanta. Almost an hour and a half into the stream. Oh, big run for Casey Kane. The bottom lane checked up quite a bit on the back straightaway. The second groove's not the way to go. We're not going to be able to hold up with them in the center of 3 and 4. Just getting underneath of Dave Blaney there. And up to 14th. I might lose a spot. Nope. If Dave Blaney wasn't side by side with Jeff Green, I think I would have lost a spot. I drifted up way wider than I wanted to. Standing on the gas through the center of the corner. Just slipping underneath of Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace might have led the most laps in this race up to this point. Oh, clip of the apron. Had Wallace cleared. And the 09 right back to the inside. Casey just able to get back down to the bottom entering turn 1. Gets it to stick on the white line all the way through the corner that time and hangs on to 13th. Cut the field in about half from where he started this fuel run. And a drive to the inside of the 25 of Casey Mears as he follows Tony Stewart. And back into the top dozen. One of the 21 cars in the lead, I would imagine it's probably John Wood. Kenny Schrader starting very, very deep in the field. We haven't even had lap traffic in this race yet either. We've only had one caution. Restarted at lap 97. That was the longest green flag run of the two. Stewart 3 wide, under Jarrett, under Boyer. Casey's got to capitalize on this, at least get one spot. As he gets underneath Jarrett, but pushes right in the middle of the corner. Slight contact with the 44, but clear for 11th. Run on Boyer, but Boyer blocks on the back straightaway. Scott Riggs battling back and forth for the lead up there, too. First Evernham Dodge to try to lead a lap. I don't know if he led that last time at the line or not. It was close. Icon up on the top right-hand corner of the screen. There we go. Finally spit it out. It was changing right as they were crossing the stripe. Now Marlin's out in front. Here, Reigns. Best passing opportunities we've had by far. One car gets underneath another and we follow. Really difficult for myself to try to find ways to pass outright the closer we get to the front of the pack. One car pitting out of line off of turn 4 there. Didn't tell exactly who it was. Ryan Newman's found himself back in the lead, though, so we were up to 11th before the first car hit pit road. This 9 car is extremely tight right now. Just got to make sure we don't speed this time when we do go to pit. Four more cars in front of us coming to pit road. We'll pit this next lap. Lap 171 at the line for Kasey Kahne. Still 3 more cars ahead of him. Slid up the track quite a bit. Might have got an arrow loose there. 24 of Casey Mears just behind us. Mears down to the bottom of the track. Casey was trying to hit pit road, but he couldn't do it. The 25 there. Gonna have to go another lap, and that cost us quite a bit of time. I was doing my best to stay on the bottom, and Mears was like halfway on the apron getting into the corner, and there was nothing I could have done different to try to get down there. I was hoping he was going to pit, but he obviously didn't. There's a little bit of contact. Now Kasey Kahne's going to pit. Big slide, big slide. I didn't speed that time. More contact with Casey Mears. Going to take another half round of wedge out of the car. Try to free it up a little more. 4 tires stop again. Bit of a slowdown with the 19 coming out. His pit box. This is just a train wreck, this pit road sequence here. Probably going to lose quite a bit of time. I'm fighting so hard just to get a top 10 tonight. We haven't been higher up than 7th. This whole race, outside of the middle of green flag stops, we'll cycle up to like 3rd or 4th, but that's about it. Yeah, we're going to lose spots. I was in 11th. The Casey Mears deal, and then Sadler trying to get up out of his pit box as we were coming down. All the fighting just to get up as high as we were on the leaderboard. And as we get up to speed here, we're going to be in 17th. We're right back to 5.5 seconds off the lead again, too. And Sterling Marlin leads. Taking the half round of wedge out of the car. We'll see if that helps again for Kasey Kahne. Second wedge adjustment of the race. Big block by Waltrip. Gets by Dale Jarrett for 16th. Field may be more spaced out now than what they've been the whole race. So 2 sets of green flag stops during the current green flag run that we're on right now. Still feel like this car's shoving. We're only having a couple laps on our tires. Passing Waltrip for 15th. So quickly 3 positions gained since leaving pit road. Tony Raines right in front of us would be another one. .2 seconds off the race lead. It was about 5 seconds, so we've gained a little time. I just have a feeling the field's going to find a way to bunch back together again before we get to the finish. Just got down in front of Truex again. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race. We won the Busch Series race at Atlanta. This Cup race, though, going to be a lot tougher with Casey Kane, considering we have not led the entire race. Yeah, go figure, everybody's starting to punch back together again. Quick peek to the inside of Tony Raines. Tony clearly getting back down to the bottom right in front of us again. That was a lot of contact. Honestly, I mean, I felt the car pushing, but I would have thought Ricky Rudd was going to give us a little bit more room. Not quite. Right back to 3 seconds off the lead again. That was the second time that happened with me and Ricky Rudd in this race. Back to 11th where we were before the last pit stop. And again, there was a wedge adjustment made on this 9 team during that last stop as well. And again, just shoving up the racetrack, and it was enough so I thought Blaney was going to get underneath. Our spotter was calling us that we had a car underneath us, but off the exit of the corner, saw him in the rear view with his front bumper to our back bumper. Not physically pushing us, but in line in the draft with us. Denny Hamlin rising through the ranks of the field. And the 11 car in P12. Still no lap traffic. Almost 200 laps of the race, despite the fact that we've only seen one caution the entire way. We're approaching very much so close to the longest green flag run of the race. Yeah, he was not giving me a lot of room there. I was on the white line and we had contact still. Ricky Rudd gave me a little more room than that when we made... Oh, that was Rudd again. What is he doing, man? Why is he running me so tight? Maybe he did that the first... Well, I don't think it was quite that bad the first time, but... I should say technically the second time. It was the first... most recent time. During this run when we had that happen as well. I don't want to be all the way down there. Raines had a slip up in the second half of turns 1 and 2 anyway, and the opportunity is still there to make the pass. And it's done successfully, up to 8th. It's maybe the best this car has been speed-wise all race since the next wedge adjustment during that last stop. Kind of feels how the car was in the way of moving through the front portion of the field when we made that first wedge adjustment. Just keeping up with the track a little bit better than everybody else around us. If it wasn't for that speeding penalty, you wonder if we could have led by this point in the race. Tough to say for sure. Both the Penske cars up there second and third. It looks like Newman's second. I believe Kurt Busch is the third place car. Kane under his teammate Scott Riggs. For 7th. Got him. Clear up turn 4. Tony Stewart racing with Bobby Labonte. Less than a second off the lead. Jeff Green in 4th place is really soaring currently. Looks like he's gapping Stewart and Labonte just behind him. Trying to catch the top 3 of Marlin and then the 2 Penske Dodges of Newman and Kurt Busch. Actually, it looks like it's the '07 of Clint Boyer as the other kind of lighter blue-colored car at the front of the field, not Kurt Busch. I see the '07 icon now. Newman in the 12 appears to be the other one who is leading. Boyer still in third, while Marlin had dropped out of the lead. Almost. Car didn't get tight there, and if it could stayed pinned down to the white line, there was a chance I was going to get it underneath Bobby Labonte for 6th. That's going to have to wait at least one more lap. Had a run, but nowhere to go with it. Labonte got through the corner very well also, and now he gets to the inside of Tony Stewart to try to get back in the top 5 to 5th. Stay tight to the back bumper of the 43. Follow the car in front to try to get a spot on Stewart. Hopefully, it might get a spot on Jeff Green in the 66 in the next corner in turns 1 and 2. Car doesn't shove. Stays pinned to the bottom again. And for the first time today, Kasey Kahne has raced his way into the top 5. Big push behind the 43 of Labonte. Gave him a shot. He's now going for 3rd on Clint Boyer. This is after Boyer threw a late block down the back straightaway. Labonte checked up. The 9 car didn't. Kasey's going for 4th. He's better in 1 and 2 than 3 and 4. Might be able to clear off the corner. And does. We're so close to the lead for the first time today. Boyer in the wall off turn 4. He's going to lose at least a spot to Stewart. It's a pretty hard lick. I could hear that clear as day. Halfway out of gas, lap 2:02. Kind of faintly see one lap car. Less than a straightaway ahead of the leaders. That'd be the first car to go lap down that hasn't dropped out of the race yet. And there are only 2 cars out of the race. Mike Wallace and Jamie McMurray. 41 cars on the lead lap at a 500-mile race at Atlanta. A mile and a half. Usually these mile and a half tracks, these EA games, will get quite a few engine failures. And we've even seen that on NASCAR 08 through the other series, and as well as even in the Cup side with the California Intermediate track race, even though that was only a 50% race than the full 400-mile race at Vegas. And although that had 38 cautions, so that was another reason we had quite a few DNFs. And honestly, I would have thought we would have had more than what we actually did end up having. 2 sets of tires left the rest of the way, and it should be a 2-stop race the rest of the way, so we shouldn't have to worry about it. Less cautions fall in a weird spot. Labonte again looking for 2nd under Marlin. Gets so close, can't make the pass. Marlin tried to do the same on Newman for the lead. Now Labonte's under Marlin for sure this time on the front stretch. Can lead Kasey Kahne an opportunity to get to 3rd if he can get tucked in line behind the 43, but he shoves up the track in 1 and 2. Marlin gets down well in front of him. Kasey really nowhere close to sneaking to the inside of the 14 that time. Now can Labonte get the forward momentum needed to try to get to the inside of Brian Newman? So close, that left rear corner panel there. Back half of the run, we just push tight. No matter how much wedge I take out of the car, I really don't want to take any more out because I don't want to take the risk of being loose. Labonte gets by Newman for the lead. Marlin going to get by Newman for second. Kane trying to go for third on the bottom. Casey is side by side with Newman, drifted up. A little side draft, no contact though. Might be able to make the pass for third as a result. Clear. Down the back straightaway. Not sure who the lapper is, just up in front of the leaders. Getting closer. That could create an opportunity to maybe pass these couple of quicker cars just in front of Casey Kane. Made it to third. It's the 7 of Robbie Gordon. Marlin could not pick the 43 behind the 7. 9 not close enough to do the same either. Robbie cuts to the bottom right in front of us. Now Marlin gets alongside of Bobby Labonte. We got a little arrow loose from the 12 of Newman right on a rear bumper also. And Newman is going to beat us to the inside in turn 3 after the slow momentum off turn 2. He's going to pick us behind Robbie Gordon. He's going to get a spot out of it. Marlin back to the lead, passing Bobby Labonte. Casey Kane drops from 3rd to 4th at the hands of the number 12, Rocket Man Ryan Newman. 3 Dodges trailing a Chevy at the very front of the field here. And a lap car of Robbie Gordon in the rearview mirror of the top 4 positions. Labonte again going for the lead. Newman trying to capitalize. Bottom of the track himself. Again, just cannot make that pass. It's difficult now. Big run. Marlin blocks Casey Kane. Casey's right there. Sails it off into the corner. Got it to stick. It's back by Newman again for 3rd. And a run after Marlin for 2nd. Got to keep the run up by the time they enter turn 1. It's going to be close. He's got him. Casey Kane is up to 2nd at Atlanta. And even during green flag pit stops, he hasn't been this high up in the running order all race. Over 200 laps to get to 2nd. How many more from then? From 2:12, about to be 2:13 to get to the lead. Can Kane get by the former NASCAR Cup Series champion? Newman was able to follow Casey get to 3rd, so now Dodge has run 1, 2, 3 at the front of the field. Stay in this spot. We just got to go 1 lap longer on fuel than Bobby Labonte, and we'll be able to lead for the first time. Slight power slide off turn 4 when we drifted to that upper lane. Can't give up too much of the bottom. 2 corners in a row we did, but Newman wasn't close enough to get to the inside. Not yet. Right there. Still got quite a ways left in this race, really. 110 laps to go at the line yet. On a 1.5 mile track, that's over half of a Busch race yet. Yep, just gave up too much of the bottom again, and there's Sterling Marlin. Casey Kane trying to crowd him. Did just enough that he's going to hold on to second place for another corner, despite how low of an entry that 14 car was able to run. Blocking the high side on the front stretch too, just doing whatever we can to try to stay in second. Sliding up, tires getting old. Another slide up off the bottom, contact with the 14, gonna hold on again for second place. Marlin getting held up by Kane. Newman will get back to third again, it looks. Instead of changing the wedge this time, I'm going to try to bump up the air pressure a bit. See if maybe that helps the top end speed enough to try to get more of a run. It's going to be a slight air pressure change. This time, if we have to go another slight bit up again after that, it will. Because we still have 2 more pit stops left in this race. It's our longest green flag run of the day, over 120 laps since the first and only caution of the race. Kane trying to stay in second and hope that Labonte pits at least 1 lap before him, so he could finally try to lead his first lap. Slides up. Newman on the inside. He's got the position. Newman's definitely going to get the second here. So hard to manage this close to the front of the field. So we're not quicker. That's the difference. That's why we can't get to the lead. Other cars have been able to pass for the lead. We haven't. Might be able to follow Newman here. No bump draft, but a big run into 1 and 2. Sliding a little, but got to keep it off of Labonte. Newman to the lead. Casey Kane again back to second. Now looking to stay out at least a lap longer than Bobby Labonte for this run on fuel. Less than 1/8 of a tank left. Strucci just alerted us yet again that we are getting pretty low. I cannot keep it pinned down to the bottom of the track. I can't do that and keep the speed up on older tires. Yeah, quick bump draft to the back of the 43 that time. Shoved him off into 3. Tag teaming our way back to 1 and 2 yet again. Both clearing the 12. It is so frustrating, man. I get so close, and it just shoves in the dirty air. I run up a lane. They're going to have enough speed to get underneath me to the bottom with how fast these guys are at the front of this field. Yep. Oh, man, I just turned him. And I turned myself. Frustration is boiling over here at Atlanta, and we're going to end up having to bring everybody back into this again. Gosh darn it. I'm trying so hard. Way too hard, obviously, but it's frustrating to be that close to the front. I can't do anything to pass the leader. You go slow to go fast, and I lose a spot, which is kind of the name of this game in particular. It's our second caution of the race. And again, we went over 120 laps between yellows. We're probably going to run out of fuel if we don't take fuel here. So just make the normal stop this time around. You know, it's against our rules. I did kind of go against it earlier, too, in the race. I haven't led yet. This is so hard. I don't think we've got the speed to outright pass him, honestly. We got to beat him out of the pits here. That's what we got to do. Newman's probably going to be a rival with us now. I haven't even gotten to the inside of the leader yet. I'm definitely not going to win the race out of the pits. Ryan Newman's going to do that. Where's Casey Kane going to cycle? Riggs gets around us. So did Clint Boyer. So we lost at least one spot on pit road. It's already tough to pass these guys at the front of the pack anyway. Fresh tires. Maybe we got the restart gear in it. We'll see. Lap 228. Green flag back in the air. And it doesn't really feel like we got the restart gear in it. It's not bad. Didn't slide the tires like we did on the older tires the last restart. Little under 100 laps to go here at Atlanta. Newman leads again. Labonte lost a lot of spots on pit road. No clue where he's at. He's definitely not in the top 5 anymore. Casey Kane gets by Scott Riggs. There were no adjustments on that last stop for Kane as well. So we'll have to make the air pressure adjustment the next time around. Boyer trying to get to the lead. Kane overdrives it on entry. The chance to get by him is going to be on these fresher tires. You get later in the run, the car just shoves more and more and more. It's tighter earlier in the run still too, but not as bad, which is why we've probably been able to make moves through the field. Another aggressive move here for Casey Kane, though, as he tries to squeeze under Clint Boyer for P2. He's got it. Less than 100 laps to go in a 500-mile race on a 1.5-mile track, and Casey Kane again is up to second, but has not led at all here tonight. This is also our first race as Casey Kane on the channel. And on this season, since he announced he was going to be coming back to NASCAR to run the Rockingham Xfinity race later this spring. Even when I have the run, I did have a good run on him in the center of the corner that time, but they blocked the bottom so effectively. Feathering the throttle as much as I can. Trying to go slow to go fast. Really doing what I can here to try to build a run. Catch him off guard. We pull to the back bumper and then it just stalls out. As it did yet again off turn 4. It's blocking the bottom. Maybe we try to get him to run this upper lane and then sneak underneath him that way. Get him off the inside just a bit. That was the right idea, but then he closed it off at the last second again. And that time there was contact, so that was not a clean block. I did get into him earlier, so I guess it was deserved on my end. I really don't think I can do this. I don't think I can make a pass for the lead. Probably tried for 30, 40 laps. I've made contact with his left rear slightly off the exit of the corner a couple times, but more when we're on the flatter part of the straightaway. Intimidator button doesn't work on this game either. Yet to intimidate another car in any series. I've tried it numerous times. I just tried it again there. I don't think it works on this game. I mean, look at this. This is impossible to pass. Go figure, it's Ryan Newman, so I guess maybe that makes it realistic. Oh, got to run this time on the white line. But I don't think we've got enough straightaway speed to stay underneath the 12 by the time we get down into turn 1. If we can, this could be an opportunity to pass for the lead. But he doesn't give us any room. And we're having to hold such a low line through the corner just to make it. Luckily, the fresher tires, we didn't slide as much despite how slow we were. Clear into turn 3, and finally, Casey Kane leads for the first time today at Atlanta. After running between second and third place for almost 50 laps, finally going to get to the lead. 238 out of 325 in this 500-mile race in before we can finally lead. That is 5 bonus points as well. Now what can Casey Kane do from the lead, and will he give it up? We still got one more pit stop left. We've had 2 cautions. So he did kind of cause both of them. So we may not see another yellow the rest of the race, but we got definitely one more pit stop. Our field window is about 57 laps, so anytime under 57 to go, we can pit and we'll be good on fuel to the end. We restarted with 96 to go, I believe, 96, 97 to go. Had so many different leaders in this race. I mean, if we did somehow lead all the way to the finish, there is a chance we could end up getting the most laps led in this race. It's not impossible. I don't believe we've seen anybody lead 100 laps. The 87 consecutive laps led to the end of the race if we led every lap from here on out. So hard to pass, so now that we have this track position. I think when we get later in the run, though, on the older tires, is the car going to get tight and clean air? We haven't had clean air literally the entire race. So that will be yet to be determined. And kind of quiet, really trying to focus on my line so I don't give this lead up again. Well, for the first time, I should say. This is the first time I've led, so I guess I technically haven't given it up yet. But had Jimmy Johnson in 5th place back there. He started pretty deep in the field. We haven't seen him up in contention for leading laps till now, and he was quicker than me earlier, too. Granted, made multiple setup changes through multiple pit stops since he had raced around us earlier, but he passed and pulled me real early in the race. Was able to get through traffic a little bit better than him, and that's why we're in the lead, and he's still back at 5th. He has not led yet. This might be the first time he's been in the top 5. That is him. Dale Jr.'s been outside the top 35 since he had that big hit into the wall earlier. Mark Martin back there. Tony Raines, who led at one point. Jeff Green, who was up in the top 5. He's back in the field a little more. Robbie Gordon would have gotten the free pass with that last caution, so he's back on the lead lap. He was the only car that actually got lapped in this race, of those that are obviously still running. So 41 cars are in the race and on the lead lap, with there only being 2 cautions. Not a lot of engine failures. And I believe we have all 3 Evernham Dodges up in the top 10. I saw Sadler was in 9th, and I think Scott Riggs restarted top 10 as well. He might be the 3rd place car, just a couple positions behind us. Clint Boyer's now up to 2nd. As Newman's starting to fall a bit, now he's in 4th. It being so difficult to pass, whether he was leading or in 2nd for ourselves for so long, and finally got around him. Back in traffic a little bit, now he's starting to fade. Ricky Rudd's back in 39th. He was in the top 10 for most of this race. I've noticed this game really is follow the leader. It's so hard to pass the leader, and it's so hard to be passed as the leader. Anytime we can get it, we're in a great spot on these intermediate tracks, and even really the super speedways. We've seen that a lot as well. Not quite halfway through the run, but we are getting pretty close to the window opening. And 57 laps is as far as we could go. We have 73 laps left with where we're at right now. So in about another 16 laps, the window will open. Probably see drivers go a little bit beyond that. Don't want to get a caution that'll trap you a lap down, even on a 1.5 mile track. But we haven't seen hardly any lap traffic at all today, so... And again, 41 cars on the lead lap, so you definitely don't want to be in a situation where you like the short pit. Although we have had a lack of cautions at the same time, so I guess maybe it won't hurt. Obviously, if it cycles all the way through, it'll be beneficial. Are you willing to make that risk? It's going to be kind of dependent on, I guess, where you are in traffic. If you're already towards the back anyway, you might as well go for it, but... At the same time, with the points format the way it is, it's not like nowadays where a win and you're in the playoffs. The chase here on this season is just the top 12 in points. So you have to be consistent all the way through. We got another car that's slow on the back straightaway that has blown an engine. First time in a long time. And couldn't tell who that was. A white and blue car of some sort. And we've got a yellow, and it looks like a crash. I think somebody hit that lap car down to the bottom of the track. So we're still outside the window to make it on fuel to the end. This is our 3rd caution of the race, and it was Kyle Petty in the 45 who gets upended on his lid after getting drilled from behind. He was already on the apron. He didn't really do anything wrong. Somebody still clipped him. It was Michael Waltrip that hit him. 55 car. Mark DeMars, thanks for tuning in. Joined to see the finish. What's the fuel window? 57 laps. We are just outside of it. We will not pit here. We'll keep track position at the front of the field. Now, the last time we restarted on older tires, we slid the tires and actually lost a couple spots. So we'll see this time if we can try to keep control of it the best we can. As the green flag's back in the air at lap 259. Oh, saw Boyer wiggle a little bit. Yep, there he goes. Big slide of the tires for Casey Kane trying to hold on. It's going to give an opportunity for Boyer to pass for the lead. On the inside. Kevin Harvick up in the top 5 after starting deep in the field. Big move by Casey. Big block into the corner. Drove it in deep, trying to get it to stick. Boyer again, back to the inside. Boyer's going to lead this lap of the line. And he is clear as Casey falls out of the lead. Sitting duck is all we were there. Boyer in that middle upper line of the racetrack. Casey slides a little bit up the hill in the marbles. Johnson has him pinned. Got to run this middle to upper line. 48 car down on the bottom of the racetrack. Just going to get down behind Johnson in third and right in front of the 29 of Harvick. Johnson up to a race-high second place position. Harvick's in the top 5 for the first time today. Johnson going for the lead. Kane trying to follow to get to second to pass Boyer. His 48 is going to be very difficult to pass. It was hard for me to pass Newman when he was leading. I think Johnson's got a quicker car. We just haven't seen him up here yet. And Harvick's in third. He'll be quick if he can get out in front too. For RCR. Fastest lap of the race that last time. 27.602. This is a video game. That's how fast Jimmy Johnson is because we're trailing him and I can't catch him. He might be the fastest driver in the field. Took him even longer to get to the lead than us. I'm going to have to run like a 26 to pass him. How do we run a 27.6 on a mile and a half? Chat's going to have to try to help me on the average lap time. It's definitely over 200 miles an hour. What's the average lap time for that lap? Or not average lap time, but the average speed for that lap. I'm losing him. I'm doing all I can to keep up with him. I ran a 27.7 that last lap, and I'm still losing him. It might have been a 27.8. It was 2/10 off. Yeah, I'm pushing tight. I can't carry as much speed into the corner as he's carrying. That is crazy. It was easy when we were trying to hold off Boyer. That caution really hurt us. I knew we restarted old tires and lost a couple spots earlier on the restart. I had a feeling that was going to happen again. And I honestly thought I was fine because it didn't really get sideways until I got into turn 1. Forward, it was on the actual flat of the front stretch, but not that time. So as I was trying to turn the car to make the corner, slid, clipped the apron, up the hill we went, Boyer to the inside. Boyer did a good job getting back by Kevin Harvick, his teammate, for third. He had so many Dodges up at the front of the field for a while. Now it's mostly Chevys other than ourselves who are in a Dodge. Bow ties have come out to play late at Atlanta. Jeff Gordon back in the top 10 to 8th as well. So look out for him if he gets up here. He's probably going to be like Jimmy Johnson, where it's going to be almost impossible to try to catch him. Definitely going to need fresher tires to do it. It's how we got by Newman earlier also. Definitely going to have to cycle in and off the pit road pretty quick. That will not be easy either. It's an even bubble of like 3 to 4 car lengths. I can't get any closer than that. Glued to the white line. Actually didn't get loose there. Picked up a little bit, maybe a car length or so. A lot of Dodgers, I call them. This back-to-back old EA Cup seasons we've raced as a Dodge, too, because we had that with Dave Blaney on NASCAR 07. Now we've got Casey Kane in NASCAR 08. Boyer looking for the lead. Well, for second first. And he's got us clear. Does Clint Boyer have a second win to try to catch Jimmy Johnson for the lead? We're definitely in our fuel window. Big block! Boyer just knocked the 9 car up into the fence. Then we came right back down and knocked the 29 into the grass. That was all on Boyer that triggered that mess. This car's going to be sliding around a lot more until I make this next pit stop now. He's still going to get to the lead. He doesn't deserve the lead after that. That was dirty. Made a clean block on Johnson. Cleared him into turn 1 for the lead. Yeah, that was definitely all Boyer. I did come down the track pretty quickly and try to cover the 29 when he was already there. That part was on me, but... Bowser Boyer. Yeah, Boyer definitely triggered that mess. He's running on the outside of him and moved us right up into the fence. It's tough, too, with the way the front stretch is angled on some of these mile-and-a-halfs like in Atlanta or Charlotte. Texas, or they got the double dog leg. There's no chance I was going to be able to keep it off the wall there. Awkward angle hit into the wall, too. Hit it once, got a bit sideways, hit it again, and then came back across the track into Harvick. Didn't trigger a yellow, luckily. Beat the right side of his car up a little bit, though. Pancaked it pretty good. Had a hard time trying to keep up with these guys as it is. Now we've got a lot more time to try to pick up over half a second off the lead. Less than a quarter tank of gas left at this point in the run with 51 laps to go. Might have to try short pitting to cycle out in front of the 48 and the 07 here. I wonder if Michael Waltrip's got enough damage from the incident that he had with Kyle Petty that maybe he'll give us a debris yellow. Although I haven't capitalized on a restart even on fresher tires yet either, so. The only thing I think he can do for us is maybe cycle off a pit road in the lead, but the last time we lost a spot, so I don't know that that's very likely either. Best bet is to probably just have this thing stay green the rest of the way, and hopefully we can cycle out in front of him. David Rudiman's out of the race too. He was the second car out. I thought Mike Wallace was out. I could have swore I saw Mike Wallace out of the race at one point earlier, too. The 09 car, unless that's who you were thinking of. No, Rudiman's 8th. Yeah, Mike Wallace is the other guy out, the 09. Rudiman's in the top 10. Oh, got it to grip up a little bit better this last lap for Casey Kane. Definitely feel it. As soon as that 48 pulled down directly with all four tire tracks right in our line, that's when I started to feel it shove. It's fine there. I can run just a little bit below him, but once he moves down, then we move up. Yeah, Rudiment's in the double zero. Tried to lift way more to keep it down to the bottom that time. A little bit of a run off of the exit of the corner. And they were able to draft away from us. Second half of that front stretch. A little slide. More sliding. Boyer killed the tires on this thing when he slammed us up into the wall. Because I've been more on the tighter side of things the whole race, and now I'm loose. Still tight and dirty air at times, but by far the most free I've been all day. Yeah, there's quite a few drivers that have the double digits with a 0 leading off. You got the 01, the 07, the 09, the 00. Yeah, fuel indicator's getting pretty light, too. Got a couple cars on pit road behind us. Oh, Johnson's got a problem! Jimmy Johnson, oh man, getting sideways again. Johnson just blew an engine in second place. Might have had the quickest car in the field if he had gotten back to the lead. Boyer's going to pit. We're going to pit with him. Coming in hot. Get it down. Get it down there. I thought I was going to get drilled from behind. I started sliding up instead of down. We're there. Slight air pressure adjustment. 4 tires and a full tank of gas here. Repair a little bit of this damage. Get back out there. Final pit stop of the race. This is the money stop. This is also our final set of tires. Oh, and already a mistake. Is that the jack man or the tire changer that ran into the gas man? Tough scenes. Oh, this slow stop. 21 seconds. Yeah, that's not good. Wow. I mean, we still got quite a few cars that have to pit yet, but that wasn't good at all. We were in second with Johnson dropping out of the race. Get up and block Labonte. Oh my gosh. Oh, we're getting split. I didn't know we were 3 wide. 88 got up to speed quicker than I thought he was going to, as Labonte was already at speed trying to pass us up high. I think we're in the middle of the speed glitch right now. Look at this. We had a top 5 car, and now it's like 25th. What a mistake by the pit crew. And costly because it's the end of the race. Executed so well the whole day just to have this happen. Oh, we got a slow car. I'm moving up. I saw them checking up. I didn't know how much further they were going to check up. We need a caution to bunch this field back together again. We got less than 40 laps. We're in 25th. Costly mistake on pit road. Really the first mistake that the pit crew has made all day. They lost a spot under caution flag pit stops earlier, but to lose 24 positions on green flag stops and over 9 seconds off the lead now for Clint Boyer, that's just inexcusable. And obviously with Johnson blowing the motor, there is nobody around Clint Boyer now. It was a 3-car race. The slow stop for Casey Kane probably eliminated him from the win. Jimmy Johnson blew an engine, so he's definitely out of the race. We're going to have a hard time just trying to get up into the top 20 now because Blaney's in 21st. We got a giant gap to get to the 20th place car. And that's where we're going to have to need a 4th caution at some point in this race to try to get us back into this thing. Just to get a good finish. Our top 10 streak's hanging in the balance here, and it really wasn't anything of my fault. Damage for the car took a few seconds. Yeah, that did too, but still 21 seconds. I mean, that's a bad pit stop. That thing shoved right in the middle of the corner, and I was hoping I was at least going to have him cleared. Not the case. That angle that he hit me in the right rear, or I should say I came across his front bumper, I'm surprised it didn't hit me head on into the wall. Especially in the middle of the corner like that. I would imagine that would have just flat out right rear hooked me. So we got by Blaney for 21st. Right around 40 laps. So we're going to have to go on these tires to the end of the race. And this is our final set of tires too. So if we were to catch caution, I can't pit. I'm not going to either because we'd be giving up a lot of track position with nearly 40 cars. Not only in the race, but all in the lead lap. That lead for Boyer's just massive right now. He's got a huge lead. Field might catch him, though, if we get a speed glitch on him. Margin of victories usually aren't that big in this game. They'll probably get to within a couple seconds for sure. Johnson was leading the way, or at least right there behind him. I would favor Jimmy to beat Boyer, but I don't see that happening either. Another car on pit road that might have blown an engine the last lap, but they were already behind us, so we didn't gain a position out of it, unfortunately, for ourselves. Definitely looking at being the worst finish of the season here for Casey Kane. It sucks that I run such a good race the whole time for the pit crew to blow it. Feel like I'm at 23-11. Feel like I got that classic Denny Hamlin pit crew or something where I'm just running so good and the pit crew blows it up on the last stop. To just execute. The fight's so hard to get to the lead. It took us 238 laps to lead our first lap of the race. And then we were right there in contention, top 3 pretty much. Even the 50 laps or so before I took the lead, we were pretty much top 3 or 4. And if I didn't win, I was definitely deserving of a top 5. A top 3 or 4 for sure. 21st. The gap is closing not only for ourselves on Boyer, but you can tell on the track map that they're closing in on him as well. We're 7 seconds off the lead. It was just over 9 when we first cycled off pit road. The problem is, though, we have less than 30 laps left. And we got 20 cars in between ourselves and the lead. Definitely going to need a caution, but the longer it stays green, I think the less of a shot we're going to have of getting up top 15, top 10. Even though we've got the pace to do it. 6.5 seconds back now. Elliott Sadler's up to second. David Reagan's in a race-high third-place position as well. I don't think Sadler's been in the top 3 until now either. Jeff Gordon's still in the top 10 and 8th. Kenseth back in the top 10. Clint Bowyer trying to hold on. This would be his first career win. Already had a first career win for Casey Mears at California on the season, and now it could be a first career win for Clint Bowyer as of the 07 season in this early in the campaign. 2 first-time winners in the first 4 races. Starting to feel like 2021. You had McDowell and Bell winning the first 2 races of the year for their first career wins. And then Byron won the 3rd race at Homestead, and he only won his 2nd career race at that point. Casey's only got a couple career wins at this point, his Cup career, so the 2 we've won. It's kind of similar to that. About as close as we'll ever get, I'm sure. 6 seconds off the lead now. We did make an air pressure adjustment. Though the lap time's not the fastest of the race. Get a little draft, maybe that'll help, but you can just start to see the rubber banding effect as we get closer to the finish. It almost seems like it's rubber banding second through the rest of the field where we're at rather than the lead all the way back, although the gap between first and second, again, is still closing. Slowly but surely. We're 5.7 seconds off the lead. Trying to catch this group of cars. I mean, as hard as it is to pass, we're definitely not going to get to the lead. I'm not even worried about that. I'd like to keep the top 10 streak alive. We definitely deserve it. But even that's going to be a stretch. We only got 22 to go this time by. Dale Campbell, thanks for tuning in. You saying that you race this track on Monday? It's fast. It's difficult. Still can't believe our fastest lap is a 27.602. The only other mile and a half I could see us running a similar lap time, if it is that quick, is probably Texas. We'll find out in a few races there what that's going to be like. Teammate Scott Riggs falling out of the top 10. He's up in the top 5 at one point. I don't think he's led today. Group of about 6 or 7 cars just up ahead. Pretty smooth all the way through 3 and 4 that time for Casey Kane. He's almost within 5 seconds of the lead. 20 to go at the line. Ryan Newman, who was so tough for us to pass for a lot of this race, is up here as well. Finished 36. Ouch. Well, not looking great for us right now either. I definitely had to make adjustments. Where we were at the start of the race, I don't think I even had a top 20 car. So we definitely had to make some massive improvements to try to free it up. And it's still on the tighter side of things in traffic. even to this point, with all the wedge and air pressure adjustments we've made throughout the whole race. And we got by Ricky Rudd. Rudd was outside the top 30 for a little bit, so he cycled well through this last set of stops, all things considered, despite the fact he is still well outside the top 10. Well, we've caught the group of cars in front of us now. We only got 17 laps to try to get through them, or as many as we can. Try to salvage a decent run out of this in the hopes of holding on to the early season points lead. You get to the inside of Michael Waltrip in the 55. Oh, contact there between Rudd and Truex. There he goes, up the hill. Just got back down to the bottom to cover Waltrip. Hanging on to 20 at 15 to go at the line. Shot to the back of Truex, launches him by the Red Bull car. Brian Vickers. Rather, I believe that was A.J. Allmendinger. Both got to get by Sterling Marlin. Truex was kind of difficult, for me to pass very early in the race. Contact there. Oh, I shoved at the wrong time. Oh, man. I was trying to get the car to the outside, and once I got up off the bottom, it just didn't want to turn. After Truex had gotten into the back of Ryan Newman. All that hard work to get up to 17th. Lost 3 spots, and now we're back to 20th again. Looking to get at least one of them back here, 1 and 2. Might get 2 of them. Got by Allmendinger again. Going to get by Truex, following Marlin to get to 18th. Late in the race, this is the points-paying window. Glenn Boyer's got this race won without a caution. I don't think second place is going to catch him. They've closed the gap a little bit, but he's managing it well. Second on back is going to be so bunched up here at the finish. Marlin blocking Casey Kane. All the blocking going on, man. You just can't get enough of a run to pass a guy. It's hard to beat them into the corner when they're just mimicking your line. Doesn't help that we just don't have that kind of straightaway speed either. Come on, Sterling. I'm definitely faster. Bump draft him on the front stretch here. Try to tag team Ryan Newman. Up to 16th and 17th. Dude, you're holding me up, man. I'm about to just turn him at this point. Well, I can't do that because then I'm going to start running out of laps. Restart's not going to do me any good here. It would have if it came out like 20 laps sooner, but right when I left pit road. It's frustrating. I'm running into the back of him right in the middle of the corner. Like, he is holding me up so badly. But it's every time I hit him, it just pushes him forward. And it's not like it's moving him up the racetrack like you would think it would when you're getting hit in the middle of the corner on a 1.5-mile track with these cars. It would be like that with any car, really. There we go. Had enough of a stack up that time. Going to get by Marlin into turn 1. See, guy held up also. Casey Kane's up to 15th. Maybe I'm not ruling out a top 10 yet. I had to drive it in so deep that time, try to stay ahead of Kenseth in the 17. Way too much of the apron. I'm trying way too hard to get underneath guys. Under Jeff Gordon. Has 7 to go. Got by Gordon and Rudd to 13th. I really didn't. I was starting to doubt we had any shot of a top 10 there for a while, but these guys are, I mean, there's so much side-by-side racing going on. They're holding each other up so much from second on back. Big run again for Casey Kane under Tony Stewart. And Scott Riggs kind of picked Stewart behind Riggs. Kane gets by his teammate for 11th. 5 laps to go. A little contact between Gillen and Busch. Busch closes the bottom immediately after Gillen cleared him. Imagine if Clint Boyer blows a motor here and got all this for the win. For what right now is second place with 4 to go at the line. Want to at least get one more. Give me that top 10. Kurt left the bottom open. That's because he got to the outside of Gillen, but that's going to cost him a spot. Casey drives it in deep, gets it to stick. There we go. We're up in the top 10. Got to not overdrive it, trying to get any more spots. At least we got our top 10 streak and keeping it alive here for another race. I would like as many more spots as we can get, if possible. Gillen and Montoya side by side in front of us. Quite a few other cars are side by side as well in front of us. Within 2 seconds of the lead, we were 9 seconds back with about 40 to go. And we were in 25th when we first cycled out of the pits after a slow stop by the pit crew, dropping us from second to 25th. No mistake on my part there, just on the pit crew. Did a great job coming back to the speeding penalty earlier, and that was on the second stop, but the pit stop did us in. Oh, Tony might pass us on the outside. They're stacked up on the bottom behind Montoya and several others. Got to keep Tony cleared. 3 wide in front of us now with Montoya, Reagan, Busch as we get to the white flag. Final lap of the race. We're shoving. Trying to keep Kurt Busch in our rear view. I don't know that we're going to be able to get another spot. Backing up the entry quite a bit. Don't want to give up the bottom. Gas it up through the middle. Busch Brothers sandwich here back to the line. But we're going to bring it home with the top 10 and 10th. Did what we could. Pit crew cost us a shot at the win there. And basically handed it to Boyer when Johnson blew an engine from second. Right before the last set of pit stops as well. First career win for Clint Boyer as he leads the most laps and gets the race victory. 84 laps led of 325 after starting 5th. Great race there for Boyer. And a 1-2 finish as well for RCR with Kevin Harvick finishing in 2nd. David Gillen, who was in front of us there battling 10th, 11th spot late. Somehow got through that traffic to 3rd. Reed Sorensen finishes 4th. Great run for him. Our teammate Elliott Sadler led 3 laps, finishing 5th. Joe Nemechek finishes 6th. Juan Pablo Montoya 7th. David Reagan 8th. Kurt Busch 9th. And rounding out the top 10 was Casey Kane, our driver, who finished 23rd. Finished with 23 laps led after starting 43rd. We had Kyle Busch right behind us. Other teammate Scott Riggs ended up with 1 lap led in 15th. Newman led for 34. Sterling Marlin for 25. 31 for Bobby Labonte. He led a lot of laps. Jimmy Johnson led for 10. 61 for Mike Wallace earlier in the race. Second most laps led, but he blew an engine. As far as the drivers who DNF tonight, Jamie McMurray, Mike Wallace, Kyle Petty, Jimmy Johnson, John Wood, Dale Jarrett were the drivers. We only had 2 of them over 200 laps in the race that fell out. And we had 4 more in the last 100 laps or so that fell out of the race also. So 6 DNFs, 9/10 of a second margin of victory, 2 hours, 54 minutes, and 14 seconds total time on the race. Average race speed of 172.34 miles per hour, 44 lead changes, and 3 cautions. Our next race will be at Bristol for the Cup Series. And our next NASCAR 08 stream won't be until Monday. And it will likely be that Food City 500 at Bristol. As far as the next stream on the channel, we've got a doubleheader coming for you on Sunday. Our first NASCAR live commentary stream of the season, and our second straight live commentary streams on the weekends, considering that we did the Rolex 24 last weekend at Daytona. This week, not quite Speed Weeks, but we are going to be having the Clash coverage on Sunday. Now, tomorrow night, they have practice and heat races, which usually I would go live for, but unfortunately, I am not going to be here. I mean, fortunately for myself, I'm going to the Royal Rumble, but unfortunately, I will not be able to stream because of that. But I will be back plenty of time on Sunday from Indianapolis, so I will be doing live commentary for the LCQ, which is the last chance qualifier to get into the main event for later Sunday night. That will be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, and then Sunday night is going to end up being the Clash, obviously, at Bowman Gray Stadium, the main event at 8. So it'll be 2 separate streams. Tomorrow, it is going to end up being, not tomorrow. Tomorrow we're having off. No stream tomorrow. Again, doubleheader Sunday. We'll have an LCQ stream at 6 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern. We will have the Clash. So we'll probably go live like 5 minutes before that because they'll probably be basically on the track getting ready to start the LCQ right when they go on the air at 6. So, yep, I'll have fun tomorrow. Hopefully you guys have fun watching some NASCAR action at Bowman Gray Stadium tomorrow night. I will try to keep up, obviously, the best I can so I get my notes ready for Sunday and our doubleheader coverage on Sunday nights. Hope to see you for that. Can't wait. NASCAR's back. Big weekend on the channel. See you guys Sunday. Have a good rest of your Friday night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.